Well, I am going live, but I don't know if I'm connected live. Let me see here if anybody shows up. Facebook was kind of acting weird today. So, anyway, I'll give it a second to spool up. And I can see that we have a few people joining. So, hey, Scott and Dean, Bryson. Hey, Bryson. Hey, Kurt. All right, so, hey, Siebert from Minnesota. Glad I'm loud and clear. And, of course, can't forget Billy Bob and Jeremy. So, it's another Monday, and we did get some racing in this weekend. So we're hoping for a 3-day triple header, but the weather had other plans for us. So on Thursday, we headed out. It's a short little 5.5, 6 hour trek to Cedar Lake Speedway, which, if you're not familiar with where that is, it's actually in New Richmond, Wisconsin. And the trip was relatively uneventful other than some construction. And we got there Thursday night, and instead of racing, we had test and tune, and the test and tune went pretty good, although the track busted up. So I'm going to set this phone down here for a second. There we go. So got my little notes here. The track busted up, and but we did get some practice sessions in, so the cars felt good. And with the car Rusty was driving, had some issues with it, and so that was the beginning of working with it. With that particular car, we had so I've never had a distributor issue ever in racing. And this is the third distributor issue we had. This time, it cracked the rotor. So there's a bunch of plastic in the top of the distributor. So anyway, and the format, I didn't realize the format we were getting into, because I was wondering how they were going to run so many classes and not get done at like 5 in the morning. Well, it turns out you just do qualifying hot laps, and then you do a feature based on where you qualify in the time trial deal, which is kind of an advantage if you race there a lot, and a disadvantage if you don't race there hardly at all, if ever, before. So, because you kind of get, other than the practice laps Thursday, you get kind of 2 laps to get her done. And on the first night, Friday night, the stands were pretty good, actually. It was cold, a little nippy. It was sweatshirt weather. So it was cool that we were to be able to race in the middle of April in the middle of Wisconsin. And Cedar Lake is pretty cool if you've never been there. They got couches and box seating and picnic tables, and their food is kick-ass. I will give them that. Since we didn't have a pit spot, we got put by where all the water drains to. And so we were like, anyway, it wasn't bad pit spot by any means. It was pretty close to the track. Hey, Jalen and Dakota. So anyway, so on hot laps, the first night, I not quite sure how it worked out exactly, but I was in the second. Well, I can't remember if I was in the first feature or second, but I was fourth. I started fourth in that one, and the track kind of started busting up, so it was kind of rough. And I was trying to chase down the leader, and I was trying to make my own groove, so I'd go in high and cut, and then shoot out the bottom, so I could go through the bumps without hopping all over the place. Because one of the problems with the rough track, if you've ever raced rough tracks, is it tends to crack a lot of stuff you can't see, and so you spend the next month fixing your car as it breaks down at other tracks. And so I tend not to drive too crazy on rough tracks or pull off because, in my experience, it can be really hard on a race car and make it hard. So anyway, but I should have probably ran the leader's line and got right on him and then started trying to make my own lane, because we could blow her in the bottom like nobody's business on a couple of restarts. I'd get beside the leader, but we just couldn't get the pedals going fast enough to do anything other than make it for an exciting restart. And at the end, I was actually running in third. At the end, the person in second, their tire blew, and so I beat them at the line because of their blown tire for second. And Rusty on that night was kind of having carb troubles too on that car, so he'd qualified and started sixth, and he wound up finishing eighth. But the car was kind of spitting and sputtering, and so we had to tweak on the carburetor. So anyway, all in all, it was a good night. If you get second at a track that you've raced in a Midwest mod once before, it's not a bad way to start Wisconsin, my Wisconsin racing season. And same with Rusty, because there were, I think, I don't know, I think there's like 40 cars there. And anyway, the next night, Saturday, jump ahead, more people in the stands. The weather was warmer, I think, and same format. Yes, if you go to rhrswag.com/SBR, like Scott Bintz Racing, but SBR / it will take you to a page that you can see the Scott Bintz Racing gear, have pretty kick butt hoodies and race shirts in a couple of different colors. And anyway, so second night, didn't do, I probably overdriving, trying to qualify better, because there's a lot of fast cars there. Those, by the way, side note, the Marinworth, hopefully I'm saying the name properly, those two kids, if they roll into a track you're racing at, they are fast. They are really, really fast, which is good to see, and makes for, if you race fast cars, you get faster, or you go crazy trying to figure out how to get faster. So in any case, qualified, that not kind of missed the marks. It was a better track Saturday. It was smooth. They got all the holes and bumps out of it. Which, side note, Alex Williamson drove like a boss in the A-mods both nights and won, and some impressive wheeling. He's definitely dialed in this season, ladies and gentlemen. But I did try to sneak into the A-mod race. I registered because I thought, well, since I'm kind of at a disadvantage since we don't run heats, you can't really tune the car. You get a feature to kind of, or you get time trials to qualify, and then you get a feature, and so you really don't get a lot of opportunity to kind of dial in the car like you normally would at, say, hot laps and then a heat race. But so I registered as an A-mod, but someone snitched me out, and the owner said I could not run my Midwest Modified with the A-mods, even if I put a spoiler on it. Wasn't having it. So hopefully I'll get my $35 back that I paid for that. Everybody, I couldn't seem to find anyone that could give it back to me at the end of the night. But anyway, so we qualified and started the feature on the second night, 7th. Rusty qualified better, and he started the feature 4th, and we got going. And I was running the high line, or kind of the middle high line, and I was kind of, cars would come up and I'd get kind of pinched off, and I was falling back, and so I thought, well, we got to get her going. So I was kind of running that same line, but then I would cross under them and then kind of burning it in the bottom of the next corner, and started getting some headway then. And then towards the end of the race, we got up to I think like 5th on the last restart, and then wound up passing Rusty for 4th. We kind of had a good side-by-side. He was above me, I was above him, going back and forth for the next few laps. And yeah, that was the night, got 4th. I think there was that night, the second night, some of the cars I think went to Ogilvy Speedway. because they're hoping maybe for a smoother track, or maybe they're chasing WISSOTA points. It's hard to say. The Cedar Lake is like a NASCAR track, so I think they kind of run unsanctioned, or I'm not sure how it works. Anyway, and met some new friends, and we were kind of pitted in the Hornet section, so there's about 20 Hornet drivers around us, and so that was cool. And I got to see some limited late model racing, and got to see Jimmy Mars, of course, from MB Customs, showed up Saturday night and cleaned house and won. He wasn't there Friday night, I don't think, anyway, but he cleaned house. And then we we loaded up that night. So I know some folks that were there wanted to like chat after the race, but we loaded up and hit the road, made it to Alex, slept at the truck stop, and then got back home at like 9:30 Sunday morning. So, and unloaded. And as you can see here behind me, that's the stuff that's unloaded. We still got stuff on cars and all of that. We're gearing up for, if you see this little parking sign for Kenny, got that from CRP Photos, Cody Papke. Anyway, yes, the track was a lot better, definitely, at Cedar Lake Saturday night. That was the Cedar Lake I had been told about before. It was racy, and we kind of had a bottom groove and a middle groove and a top. Well, I don't know if we, in the Midwest mods, we had a top groove, but we had kind of a top groove, certainly more of a middle and bottom groove. Also, something I want to show you, if you, hopefully you can see that, got the Bob Sagan wrap in. There it is. So we're going to put that on that race car right there. And so Bob's going to look cool when he runs the Rebel Midwest Modified Tour. Also got some Rockstar under bumper mount towing flaps. They just quick pin, if you can see that, to the underneath your bumper, so they're not connected to the ball mount. So I was kind of working on getting them installed on my pickup. Give you a shout out. Hey, there's my Hornet, my Super Hornet buddy. Everybody says, I've never heard of a Super Hornet. Well, technically, there's no like B mod or B class of Hornets. So technically, wouldn't they all be Super Hornets? You know, because there's no like limited Hornet class. So there's Super Hornets in my book. This weekend we're thinking about, since we've only raced in 4 states so far this year, I guess we're pretty fortunate. So, where we raced Arizona and Kansas and Tennessee and Wisconsin, we're thinking about going to Wyoming this weekend. They got an opener at Sheridan Speedway, and Sheridan Speedway is really, really one of the coolest racetracks in the world, where you drive in and you have to drive in a circle around the track down, because the track is in the hill. It's in the hill, and so people on the roads that circle around the track park their pickup or SUV or whatever on the edge of the road and watch the races from there. So it's a very cool venue, and I think they're racing Saturday and Sunday, but I'll have to check, and we're of course going to check the weather. And the backup plan is around home here at Devil's Lake Speedway, about 100 miles that way, north of here. That's north, if you're in the race shop, is Devil's Lake Speedway. And they had Test and Tune this last Saturday, and I'd heard it was a little bit bumpy, but Nolan's pretty good at working that track, and so he's probably going to have it all dialed in for their opener Saturday, which again we might go to if we decide driving to Sheridan, Wyoming is too long for us. But I gotta try to figure out what gears to run. I think last time, I was only in Sheridan, Wyoming racing one time. We won both nights. And so I'm probably not going to keep my 100% win rate at Sheridan Speedway, but you never know. We'll give it a shot. And but I think we had 543 gears in, our concept motor, and then we changed to 528. I just can't remember exactly. And we're going to have to adjust the jets because I think I looked on the old Google, and I think their elevation is like 4,500 feet, and I'm sure there's a carb expert maybe watching, or elevation expert, but I got to talk to the engine builder to give me a reminder of, I think every 1,000 feet you go up or down 2 jet sizes. Can't remember which one, but because of, yes, Devil's Lake is kind of in the middle of nowhere, but they have a bar and grill there, and they have a dirt track racing there, and you could, yeah. So, but it is kind of, it's not technically in Devil's Lake. It's like 20, maybe 15 miles east of Devil's Lake, kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's actually, I think, in Prairie, North Dakota. Yes, I think our plan is the following weekend to do the doubleheader at Sure Step Speedway. And I think that weekend, too, that Cheyenne Speedway here in Lisbon opens up, but I can't remember if they were doing test and tune or it was their opener. Got to look at the schedule. And I also want to give a shout out to Kenny Watson, who's been helping me race, because none of these races all over the place I would have been able to do without his help. And of course, Rusty Coleman, we took his hauler to get the cars to Cedar Lake. He's going to go do some IMCA racing this weekend in Mandan is their opener. So kind of crazy in North Dakota, late part of April that they're doing racing. Yes, write them down. When I go to a different track, I will know. I did do like a gear chart that I kicked out for people when I retired from racing, but I don't know what I did with it. So, but I did a video on it too. So it's probably 18,000 posts below this one on the Scott Bintz Racing page. Oh, if you have been paying attention for the Rebel Midwest Modified Tour, I did get the proofs back on the shirts, and so those will probably get loaded to the swag website, and of course I'll be taking them to races I go to, and certainly on the tour races, and the proceeds from those t-shirts go to increase the driver payout at the 5,000 to win Rebel Midwest Mod Tour finale race. And we also got more sponsors for that, the Rebel Midwest Mod Tour, so that's pretty cool. People keep asking me how many cars I think are going to come, and I don't really know, but I think it's going to be fun. And yes, I think Cedar Lake is probably a lot of people's favorite track. We hope to get back there at the end of July when they have a 5,000 to win race, which is kind of why we went over there, is to get faster for it. And I think that covers the updates and all of that, so I probably yipped long enough. The final race for the Rebel Midwest Modified Tour, which technically isn't counted in the tour points, it's a 5,000 to win, and it's at Cheyenne Speedway, which is Lisbon, North Dakota. And it is on a Sunday night, and the format of that one is going to be you're going to draw, and you're going to run 2 heat races, and you're going to invert. So if you drew front row, the second heat race you run you'll be back row, and then your passing points will calculate. I'm guessing the top 12 spots, and then everybody else will run through B mains. Which one of the reasons with the Midwest or the Rebel Midwest Mod Tour, we do have B main pay, so you get a little bit of a bonus if you do win on B main. And because I always tell people it all starts with a good B main win. So so we're gonna have probably some B main winners at most of those Rebel Tour races. So should be fun. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm pretty fortunate to be able to go and race wherever we can, whenever we feel like it, and I know that. So, and then There was someone else I wanted to give a shout out to, but I can't remember. Perhaps I'll have to do it next time. But hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and sorry to go on and on. Sometimes I wonder, just like being me, some days is painful and some days is really cool. And so sometimes, like, I got doing this Monday Night Live thing again because people were asking me to do it, but sometimes I wonder, that it seems, I don't know if I should do it or not. And of course, yes, the 14 car. What about the 14 car? I'm 14 car, Colin. 14 car. Help me out, Colin. Boat's taking on water. I need context to the 14 car. Well, I don't know. So Colin put in the 14 car. So, there are some people, by the way, running the Rebel Midwest Mod Tour that haven't had a WSOTA license in the last year or two or three. So that's kind of cool to see. And so stay tuned for that. I don't know if I'll got it in me to write another book. But anyway, my point was on doing this live thing is sometimes I feel like, I'm just a washed up B-Mod driver. Who gives a shit what I'm doing? But sometimes, man, maybe I should have some guests or something, because I kind of like have Hornets on the Midwest Mod Tour. Not this year, Colin. We're just going to just see if we can do a little tour series and go from there before we add Super Hornets to the Rebel Midwest Mod Tour lineup. So, anyways, thank you for turning in, and hopefully we'll get to race. Everybody planning on racing this weekend, I'll get a race, and hopefully we'll get a race, and we're going to go somewhere and race if we can. And until next time, smile.